Okay, so let's talk about our inequality basic skills test. So this says, write an inequality to represent the following situation. X is at least 5. So when we look at this, and this one should be up a little bit. I don't know why the formatting printed funny there. So when we have this, we can say, well, if X, we know we have X and we have 5. So then we have at least, so that means that X has to be greater than. But if we have that X is greater than 5, then if it's at least, does that mean that X can be 5? And it does, so we would want to make that greater than or equal to 5. So our answer here would be that one. Number 2 says, write an inequality for the following situation. Y is more than 4. So we have Y has to be greater than 4. Now in this case, if Y is 4 more than 4? No, it is not. So that's how we know that that would be our answer choice. Number 3 says, describe the graph of the following inequality. So we have X is less than or equal to 3. So what I would do here is I would just sketch a graph. I know 3 is going to be here, then we have 2, and on this side we have 4. And because I have this line underneath it, I know I'm going to have a filled-in circle, which is called a closed circle, on 3, and then X is less than 3, so my arrow is going to point to the left. So at this point I know I'm looking for a closed circle, so I'm not going to be looking at this one because that's open, and I'm not going to look at this one because that's an open circle. And then my arrow is pointing to the left. So that's how I know that I would choose that one. Number 4 says, describe the graph of the following inequality, and we have Y is greater than 6. So again, I would just sketch a graph. I know that I do not have the or equal to part, so it's going to be an open circle on 6, and then if 6 is greater than Y, then that means, and we can rewrite this as Y is less than 6. So that means that my arrow on this one's going to be pointing to the left. So I know I have an open circle, so I can cross off my closed circle options, and then it's pointing to the left. So I want to make sure that I choose the correct one there. Question 5. Solve the following inequality, and we have X plus 7 is less than or equal to 12. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to drop my line down and solve this like an equation. So I'm going to subtract 7 to both sides, and I'm left with X is less than or equal to, and then I have 12 minus 7, which gives me 5. So then I find, I can find my answer. It is one of my answer choices, which is a good check, but I'm going to actually check it off to the side, and remember we use a 2-part check. So the first check is to see if the number is correct. So I want to take this number and plug it in. So I have 5 plus 7, and I want to use an equal sign here. 12 is 5 plus 7. That gives me 12. Is 12 equal to 12? Yes, it is. And because of that, I know that the number is correct. Now I need to make sure that my inequality is correct. So I want to pick something. If I sketch this, I know I'm going to have a closed circle, and it's going to be pointing to the left. So I always check to see if 0 is in my solution set, and in this case 0 will be part of my solution set, so I would use that to plug in. So I'll say 0 plus 7 is less than or equal to 12, and I know 0 plus 7 is 7. So is 7 less than or equal to 12? It is, so that's how I know that the direction of my inequality is also correct. So after I check it, I can go ahead and select my answer. Next one, solve the following inequality. We have -5, X is greater than 10. Now as soon as I see this one, I want to solve it and get X by itself, but I see that I have a negative coefficient with my variable, and that means that I'm going to be flipping my inequality. So my final inequality is actually going to be X is less than something. So I can go over here actually and cross off any that has greater than. So I know that one's not going to, that's not going to be one, and that's not going to be one. So my answer choices then are going to be X is less than -50 or X is less than -2. Now I want to do the opposite operation. This is multiplication, so the opposite is dividing both sides by -5. As soon as I divide both sides by that negative, I need to flip that inequality sign. And so I have 10 divided by negative 5, which gives me negative 2. So that's probably going to be my answer choice, but we want to check it. So first I have negative 5 times negative 2 should equal 10. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10, and 10 does equal 10, so I know the number's correct. Now let's check our sign. If I were to graph this, I have negative 2. On this side I have negative 1 and negative 3. I'm going to have an open circle pointing to the left. So in this case 0 is not one of my solution sets, so I need to pick something in my shaded region. I'm going to pick negative 3. So I have negative 5 times negative 3 should be greater than 10. Negative 5 times negative 3 gives me a positive 15. Is that greater than 10? It is. So I can confirm my answer choice. Number 7, we're solving x over 8 is less than negative 2. I see that x is not being divided or multiplied by a negative number, so my inequality sign is going to stay the same, so I want a less than. So I can go ahead and eliminate my greater than options. I'm going to drop my line down, multiply both sides by 8 to get x by itself, so I have x is less than. Negative 2 times 8 gives me negative 16. Now we want to check that. I have negative 16 divided by 8 should be equal to negative 2. Negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. So my number part is correct. Now I need to check my inequality. So I have negative 16, then I have negative 15 on this side, and negative 17. So I know that I'm going to have an open circle pointing to the left. You can pick anything over there. If you wanted to pick like negative 17, that would be fine. Since I know I'm going to be dividing by 8, I'm going to choose something that's a factor of 8. So I'm actually going to choose negative 24. So I have negative 24 over 8 is less than negative 2. Negative 24 divided by 8 gives me negative 3. Is negative 3 less than negative 2? Yes, it is. So both of those are correct, so I can go ahead and select my answer choice. Okay, for number 8, we have the inequality 2x plus 5 is less than 11. I want to find my variable and find my coefficient. In this case, my coefficient is 2. Since 2 is positive, I know that I'm not going to be flipping my inequality sign. So my final inequality sign is going to be less than. So this one's greater than. I can get rid of that. And this one's also greater than. So now I'm down to 2 answer choices. Now I'm ready to solve. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That leaves me with 2x as less than 11 minus 5 gives me 6. Then I divide both sides by 2 to continue to isolate my variable, and I'm left with x is less than 3, which is one of my answer choices. Let's check it. So first we're checking our numbers. So I have 2 times instead of x, I'm going to plug in 3 plus 5 equals 11. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 5 equals 11. 6 plus 5 is 11, and 11 is equal to 11, so the number part is correct. Now I need to check if my inequality sign is correct. So I have 3, 2, 1, open, I'm sorry, 4, goodness. I have an open circle pointing to the left. So in this case, 0 will be part of my solution set, so I'm going to plug in 0 here. So I have 2 times 0 plus 5 should be less than 11. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 5 is less than 11. 0 plus 5 gives me 5. Which is less than 11. So after I check it, I can go ahead and select my answer choice of x is less than 3. Number 9, we're solving the inequality negative 4x plus 5 is greater than 21. So with this, I'm going to start solving it, but before I even get started, I see that my coefficient is a negative 4, so I know I'm going to flip my inequality, so I want it to be less than. So I can cross off my greater than options, and again, now I'm down to just 2. Then I can go ahead and start solving, so I subtract 5 from both sides. When I do that, I'm left with negative 4x. I have not flipped my inequality sign yet, because remember, you only do that when you multiply and divide both sides by a negative. So I keep it the same. I have 12 minus 5, which gives me 16. Now I need to continue to isolate my variable by dividing both sides by -4. As soon as I divide both sides by -4, I need to flip that inequality sign. So I'm left with x is less than, and then I see 16 divided by -4, which gives me -4, which is one of my answer choices. Let's check it. So first, to check my number, I have -4 times -4 plus 5, I hope equals 21. -4 times -4 gives me a positive 16 plus 5, I hope equals 21. And I know 16 plus 5 is 21. So my number part is correct. Now I want to check my inequality. So here I have -4, -5, and -3. I have an open circle, and it's pointing to the left. In this case, 0 is not one of my solutions, so I cannot use that. So I'm going to use -5 here. So I have -4 times -5 plus 5 is greater than 21. -4 times -5 gives me a positive 20. And then plus 5 hopefully is greater than 21. And I know that 20 and 5 gives me 25, which is greater than 21. So my direction is also correct. So I can go ahead and select my answer choice.